Hello, welcome. Welcome to Candlelight, Restorative Yoga. I've changed the name. Very similar stuff to what we've been doing these past few weeks. But I'm embracing this onset of autumn and enjoying how the sun will set as we move through our practice today. So as much as feels comfortable for you, you might have a candle, turn your lights off. Everything today is going to be super gentle. We'll hold poses for, several minutes at a time. I'm going to go super slow. So you won't necessarily need to see the screen or, anything in particular in your surrounding areas. Just making sure that I'm not going to knock anything over. I'm going to move my water out of the way. We're going to begin sitting just to do a little bit of movement to help us start to sink into feeling and almost like give ourselves a massage for our shoulders, our neck, our upper back. So find a comfortable seated position. Let your hands rest somewhere in your lap or on your knees. You can close your eyes if that feels good for you, or just let them be softly unfocused. And start to bring your awareness to your breathing. And we'll begin practice taking 3 deep breaths. And I'd like you to imagine as you're doing these breaths that it's like you've just made it home after a very long journey. So what we'll do is we'll inhale in through the nose. Just let yourself fill up with air. And then sigh out through your mouth with any sound like you just made it home after a long journey. We'll do a few more of those on our own. Take your time when you're ready, inhaling again. Stretching out the breath. Sighing it out. Go for one more sighing exhalation breath. And notice how your body is feeling here. Begin to scan and feel the hips. Let them plug into the ground. And find a position where you feel the length that exists in your spine. So you might start to sense that the spine can become a little more buoyant. Low back lifting away from the earth. Mid back rising from the low back. Upper back lifting from the mid back. Feel that move all the way up through the neck. Feeling the crown of the skull starting to float. The next time you exhale out, notice and feel the facial muscles. Can they soften at all right now? Noticing your mouth, your tongue, and your jaw. Can any tension flow out? The next time you exhale out, you're welcome to continue making those sighing sounds as many times as feels good. Now notice and feel your shoulders, tops of shoulders. And without forcing anything, Just see if you can let the shoulders become a little heavier. And let that heaviness start to flow down your arms to your hands. Noticing any tension in the palms, the fingers, the backs of the hands. Can anything there get a little bit more relaxed? Let's use just one round of a very gentle shoulder shrug. So that 3-part shoulder shrug series. Just to give ourselves a little bit of a massage for the upper back and start to kind of open up the chest and shoulders a little bit more. So maintaining this feeling of lengthening, floating the skull up towards the sky. Let your arms now dangle as much as you can. The fingertips might trail on the floor. That's okay. And now this next time you inhale and expand the side ribs, the back ribs, feeling the lungs fill up with air. And then there at the top of your inhalation, pause. Bring shoulders up near your ears, any amount, and then keep them up there as you bring them back towards the spine. As you exhale, start to squeeze the shoulder blades towards the spine and drag your shoulders down actively away from your head. And then let that work go. Sense the hips. Can you sink the hips into the earth a little bit more? Take another inhale, expanding around the ribs. And then as you're exhaling, let those middle parts of the shoulder blades start to squeeze back towards the spine, being very gentle and deliberately slow there. As you're exhaling out, keep that gentle squeeze, maybe dragging the shoulder blades down a little further. And then let all that work in the upper back relax away. Go for one more round, part 3. Inhale. See if you can sense the very bottommost portions of your ribs spreading open as you inhale. And then as you exhale, noticing, imagining those bottommost pieces of your shoulder blades, the tips of the blades. Can you squeeze the bottom of your shoulder blades towards the spine? And maybe drag down just a little bit more. And then let that relax. Let yourself maybe just shake out your arms. Maybe do a couple shoulder rolls. Let yourself move a little bit organically. And then let your hands come back to resting somewhere on your legs or knees. And take 2 full breaths. Observe your shoulders. Can they get a little heavier? Can the arms relax all the way down to your hands? Now from here, if you're sitting up on something, like I'm sitting up on my bolster, just move that off to the side. Come all the way down right onto your butt. And come into a really gentle version of a seated straddle. So you'll let your legs open up wide on the floor out in front of you. Knees are straightening out. Heels are touching the ground and toes are pointing up towards the ceiling. And really, it's not about finding your maximum edge of how open you can get in the straddle position. Let yourself find the distance of the straddle that feels really doable here. You can hang out here for a few moments. And then from here, take your left hand, fingertips to the floor, outside your left hip. As you inhale, reaching up with your right arm, feeling that length that can grow just a little bit more from your hips all the way up through the crown of your skull. As you're exhaling, turn the ribs in the chest a little bit to the left and start to forward fold over your left leg. Hands can come down. Bring them down to some props or to the floor or to your leg. And the next time you are inhaling, can you notice maybe bringing some more attention into the mid-back, back of the ribs, back of the lungs? When you inhale, can you spread that area? Spread the back ribs. And as you exhale out, letting gravity pull you into the earth, maybe the hips can sink a little bit deeper. Find the position that feels the most comfortable for your neck. So that might be letting the forward fold continue at the neck, letting the head and the skull, the weight of the skull just hang a little heavier towards the ground. And if that feels like it irritates your neck at all, then very gently return the head so that the neck stays lined up with the rest of your spine. So you can experiment. Find which position of the head feels the most relaxing to you now. We'll hang out here for just a few more moments, a few more breaths. Like on this next 2 or 3 breaths, play with a very slow down, quiet version of a lion's breath. So lion's breath, that place where we can play with letting the jaw open, letting the tongue reach out and down. So really feeling for that connection through the jaw, the tongue, and the neck. So I'll cue us into this next breath. As you inhale very patiently, feeling up at the neck and the jaw. And then start to let the mouth yawn open. Let your tongue stretch out of your mouth as you slowly and gently release your breath out through your mouth. It doesn't have to make a sound. It might have a sighing sound to it. It could also be silent. And then release that, letting your tongue retract back in towards your throat, letting your jaw close. Play with that on your own. 2 more breaths, 2 more of these really slow motion lions. Noticing that when you're releasing your breath, stretching the tongue and the throat, do the muscles in the back of the neck, the back of the skull shift? Maybe there's that sense, that pull to just let the head hang a little bit more towards the ground. So finishing that up, and then when you're ready to come out of this pose, walk your hands in towards your hips, using your hands and arms to help press the torso, then the head all the way back upright. Take a moment in the center, make any movement that you need, shake out your legs, wiggle your hips, shake out your arms, maybe sway. So in between these poses, do feel free to make any kind of movements in between. And sense and feel what you notice inside of your physical body here at this midway point between sides. And when you're ready to forward fold over the right leg, bring the right fingertips to the ground outside your right hip. Inhale the left arm up towards the ceiling. Feel for that lifting that can happen through your spine up to the crown of the skull. And then as you're exhaling, turning a little bit to the right, ribs and chest turn right, and then start to settle over your right leg, forward folding over the right. And just noticing what sensations are happening on this side of this shape. Where is there perhaps some gripping? I'm noticing a little hesitation in my left hip, so you're always welcome to adjust, maybe coming a little bit out of the forward fold lets the pelvis relax deeper into the earth. Get that grounding sensation before you play with folding deeper over the leg. See, can both hips feel really solidly connected to the ground? So give yourself time here to do 3 rounds of those very slowed down, quiet or silent lion's breaths. Take your time with that. Go for it all on your own, filling up with air. Yawning open the mouth, letting the tongue stretch out and down away from the throat, letting the breath out, opening the throat, widening the jaw, stretching through the tongue. Feel, if anything, around the back of the neck and the back of the skull experiences some subtle change when you're doing your lions. In between rounds, let your tongue retract back inwards, let your jaw soften and close a little. Keep going. And finishing up here, when you feel ready, use your hands to walk in towards the hips, bringing the torso all the way back up. Head comes up last. And we're going to hang out in this straddle shape just a little bit more. Feel free to use your hands to massage down your legs a little bit. That might feel really good before we go into our final piece in straddle, stage 3. You can also shake out your legs. Now, if for any reason straddle just is not going to work for you any longer, you can absolutely change up how you're sitting, but we're about to take a supported forward fold. So if you do have props, like maybe 2 or 3 blocks, a stack of blankets or a bolster or a couch cushion, just use whatever you have on hand. And if you don't have any of these things, you can absolutely do your gentle forward fold without any props. What I'm going to do is make a little tower of blocks right out in front of my spot, and then lean a bolster or a couch cushion on an angle. So I'm giving a little bit of an angle here. And then you're just propping up as much height as you need so that this thing can meet your torso, so that when you forward fold, you get to snuggle into a stack of support. So, for some people, the incline might not quite do it. So you could also just kind of find a way to get the props to you. You might just make a big stack of something out in front of you. So I'll give us some time here as I work on my little tower. That's feeling good. All right. So let's say we're in straddle. This could come all the way up right against the groin. That might be a place to experiment with first. If you're in a cross-leg position, if you're in Baddha Konasana, this pile of stuff could be in front of or between the legs in whatever way feels comfortable to you. Now from here, feel the hips. When you're ready, let your hips sink and root deeper into the earth. Inhaling and lengthening up through the spine, through the top of the skull. And then as you exhale, very slowly start to lean forward. And then there's a lot of options here. It kind of works for me to hug my stack of stuff and then turn my head and lay one side of the face on my bolster and blankets. Other people might have a setup where you might stack some more blocks or stack your fists or fold your forearms and have your forehead just rest down. Actually, I even like that. I can do that as well. I'm going to cross my arms and just let the head be supported by my forearms stacked on top of my pile of props. So give yourself another minute, really luxuriate in this. Find what feels the best for you. And then just let the earth and these props hold you as you're in a really mild forward fold. This doesn't have to be very far at all. And as you're breathing here, just noticing, feeling back of your ribs, the back of your spine. You can relax controlling your breath and just allow your body to breathe for you here. Or if it feels good to you, take those deeper breaths, feeling for expanding the low back, the mid back, behind the heart, the upper back. Maybe even reaching breath up into the back of the neck, back of the skull, back of the brain. And as you exhale out, just noticing and feeling and allowing for anything that is ready to soften. Let that go. You really enjoy using the imagery of water. It's feeling the breath as though it were water filling up, pouring into the back of the body. And as you're exhaling out, just imagining, feeling the breath like it's draining out. Scan and feel your body. Is there anything anywhere that just wishes this was a little more comfortable? If you're noticing something start to kind of move into the territory of feeling kind of pinchy or like too intense of a stretch sensation, just give yourself a 10 seconds or so, as long as you need, to adjust. Maybe changing the position of your head or adding or removing the props so that you have a deeper pose, or maybe you come up a little bit and you ease out of such a deep forward fold. So adjusting now anything that needs to change. And then we'll settle back in for this remaining few moments of the supported seated forward bend that we're in here now. On your next breath, let yourself take a very long inhalation. Bring more air into your body. Sigh your breath out through your mouth. And then using your hands and your arms to start the journey back up, press into the ground or into your props. Let your torso and then your head roll upright. And move your props off to the side for a moment. Just getting them out of your way so that you can, for instance, if you are in your straddle like I am, give a little bend to your knees. Grab underneath your thighs with each hand and just help the legs back to close again. And shake out your legs or windshield wiper them side to side or just let them stretch out and rest for a moment. And from here, come back into a simple cross-leg position. Simple cross-leg pose, seated spinal twist as a little counter pose moment to our forward bend. So in your simple cross-leg pose, feel if it feels okay to be right on the ground. Would your hips or your low back feel more comfortable if you sat up on some blankets or another prop? So let yourself take a few moments here to get settled. And then when you're ready, let your hands rest right on your knees. Really gentle spinal twist. Inhale, spread your back ribs, spread your side ribs, fill up with air and lengthen through the spine. Exhale to twist to the left, turning ribs and chest to the left. Let your left hand find the ground or a prop. Right hand finds your left leg. You can make this really gentle for the spine and let your chin stay aligned with your breastbone. Or you can continue the twist in the neck by very gently starting to turn the head to the left. So experiment. Where does that feel good in your spine? And where feels the best for your neck? And here we can take a few deeper breaths. You're welcome to make them ujjayi breaths if that pranayama helps you draw your focus inward. So you can make that soft sighing sound in the back of the throat, back of the mouth. It might help to imagine every breath you take being like a wave. Inhalation rising, building, expanding, and then there at that very kind of top of the crest, you then start to tip over into crashing, falling, releasing. Follow that breath wave. 2 more full breaths on this side. Don't worry about twisting any deeper. Just feel really long, slow breaths here. Inhale to feel that distance from your hips to the crown of your skull. Maybe that distance get a little further apart, a little longer through the spine. Exhale to unwind all the way back to center, and then switch the cross of your legs. Bring the other foot, the other shin out in front. And then settling back in, hands on the knees. Take your time inhaling, filling up with air. As you exhale, go very gently, twisting to the right. Right hand meets the floor or a prop, and left hand finds the right leg. Just hold on wherever is the kind of first thing you can grab onto very easily. And continuing here, these deeper, fuller breaths, following the wave of your breath. Noticing if there's any sensations along the spine as you're in this twisted shape. Head can stay neutral, meaning your chin stays lined up with your breastbone, center of chest, or you can continue the twist with the neck, turning the head slightly to the right. Notice, sense, and feel the hips. If there's even this sense of them sort of lifting at all up away from gravity, next time you exhale, root down more. Allow your hips to be even heavier. Relax your belly. Let it hang loose as you inhale. And take your time. When you're ready to come out, inhale, lengthen through the spine just a little taller, even if it's just a hint, a whisper of getting a little longer. Use your exhale to unwind all the way back to center. Take a feeling breath. Notice, sense, and feel any sensations that are happening right now somewhere in your body. Let your body bring you back into this moment right now. Inhale in through the nose for a long time. Again, like you just got home from a long journey. Exhale, sigh out through your mouth. Come now and lie down on your belly. And just take a few moments in crocodile pose, just lying prone right on the belly. If you like to put a blanket down underneath your hips and pelvis, make sure that your hips, your hip bones, your pubic bones feel really comfortable here when you lay down. If you have glasses on, you don't need your glasses. You can move them off to the side and fold your forearms on the floor and put your forehead down so that your neck can be neutral. So we're letting the face the ground. See if that works for you. So there's really lovely opportunity when we're laying on our belly to help our lungs and our diaphragm sort of turn on more areas in the structures of those muscles and organ, the tissue that connects them, and the bones of our spine and our ribs. It gives this opportunity as the earth gently presses into the front side of your body. Notice how when you inhale, there's maybe just a little more opportunity to get the breath to expand backwards, expanding the back of the lungs, using those back fibers of the diaphragm. All of that weaves into the area of your mid-back, mid-spine.
And when you're exhaling out, feel what can release. Is there anything anywhere that's tensing? There's some residual kind of being on guard or ready for action. Just letting that exhalation ease some of those at the ready parts of you to start to soften, to start to let down their guard just a little bit more, as much as feels safe, as much as feels ready to go there. Well, from here, we'll play with about 3 rounds of a retention of breath. So that means that we will hold at some phase of the breath. We're going to hold at the phase where we are full of air in the lungs. So on your next breath, begin inhaling and feel for spreading the back ribs. Get really full of air. And then there at the top, hold the breath for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slowly exhale out to empty. Let it keep going. Empty, empty, empty. And again, inhaling, feeling the back of the ribs, the back lobes of the lungs filling with air. Fill up a little more till you feel very full. Hold the breath for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let it go. Empty, 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 empty. Once again, when you're ready, inhale, fill up, spread back of the body. You might even feel that moving down into the low back, up into the upper back. Fill up a little bit more. And then hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhaling out to empty. Take your time, letting the air drain out. And then just let your body breathe for you for a moment here. And I'll explain the last phase of this. So we're adding on something to the very end of this practice. So when we're exhaling out, we'll do the same. We'll inhale and then we'll hold for 5. And then when we're exhaling out, exhale out only halfway. And then with the rest of the air that's left inside, we're going to cough it out. And that's going to sort of kickstart the diaphragm fibers. It's almost like, I sort of think of it as like you're trying to jumpstart a car. I kind of think of it like places in the diaphragm that might not be firing right now. That little bit of cough is going to help them start to wake up and come back online. And we'll try that maybe 2 times. Let's do the first one together. Finish the breath you have inside of you now. Inhale very slowly. Feel the back of the body expanding. Hold the breath for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Very slowly release some of that air out, and then right here, cough the rest out. And then just let the rebound, let the breath come back in and just breathe for a moment. Without any control, let your body breathe for you. And feel the earth pressing gently into your belly. Feel if anything anywhere can relax a little bit more. Okay, let's do that one more time together. I'll talk us through that one final round. Inhale to fill up with air. Hold the breath for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Start exhaling part way and then cough the rest out. And then just allow breath to flow naturally. Let your body breathe for you again. And one more time, enjoying this moment of just snuggled up right against the earth. Let the earth hold you. Feel if anything anywhere else in your body feels ready to relax a little bit more into the support of the earth. When you're ready, take a slow breath in through your nose, sigh it out through your mouth, and gently start to press yourself slowly back up to hands and knees. Come back to a comfortable seated position. You can take any little extra moves in between. You want to do a couple rounds of cat-cow or stretch out your legs or wiggle around. Just take a moment to do that and then come back to sitting, any seated posture that feels comfortable to you. Use any props that makes sitting feel even more comfortable, even more cozy. And resting the hands somewhere on the lap, just give yourself about 3 deep breaths. 3 deep breaths as you sit here and feel. Feel if breath moves any differently. Feel for any physical sensations in your body right now. Is there anywhere that feels softer? Is there movement in areas of maybe the low back, the mid back, those back ribs? Or a sense or an awareness now of those structures, the diaphragm, the ribs, the lungs, breathing your body. So from here, we're going to play with a variation of lizard lunge. So we'll take a lunge with our knee down on the ground. So we want to make sure that our knee has plenty of padding. When you're ready, come to hands and knees. It may be useful for you to have some blocks. We're going to keep our back knee on the ground, and we're going to keep our hands on the ground as we hold this lunge. So let's start. You can choose any foot. I'm going to step my left foot forward and have my right knee down. You can start whatever side you want to start on. And then hands on the floor. Try inside your front foot. And now what you might have nearby, not only your blocks, but maybe your stack of blankets or bolster or cushion, because you might find that as your hips start to release and you feel like exploring maybe deeper and deeper into this pose, maybe eventually you want to bend the elbows and set the forearms down on something. That's where this might eventually go. So when you're ready, take a slow inhale, spread through the ribs. And as you exhale, stand through the front foot. Let yourself feel that press of the foot into the ground. You can also kick the back foot and the shin into the ground. Press your hands into the ground a little as well, so you're helping your hips with your arm strength. And there's no need to go to your end range. If you're very flexible in the hips, if you know you're a bit hypermobile, you don't have to hang in the joint. So you might back off, do about 30-40% of a depth and focus a little bit more on pushing into the ground as you breathe.
This is another pose where you can choose whether to just let your breath move naturally, or maybe you'd like to take those deep ujjayi breaths while you're here. Check in with your face. Can the brow relax? Can your tongue and your jaw soften? Take about 10 seconds or so. Is there something that you'd like to change about this pose? If the wrists are feeling sensitive, you can turn your hands into fists so that the wrist joint is straight instead of flexed. Put your knuckles on the floor. Now would be a great time if you want to experience maybe going a little bit deeper in this pose, maybe bending the elbows, letting the torso bow closer to the earth. You can put your forearms on blocks or a stack of pillows, bolsters, blankets. Bring the floor to your forearms. And again, check in with whether pressing through the legs and feet helps you hang out here just a little bit more. Take a slow breath in through the nose. Sigh it out through your mouth. And then slowly start to rise up from any forward folding you were doing in the torso. Let your hips shift back. Step your front foot back. Maybe wiggle out your butt. Do some cat and cow. Make some circles here. Just feeling around the hip, down into the legs and the feet, noticing any sensations, anything that you can feel right now. And when you're ready, we're switching over to do this lunge on the other side. So we can call this lizard lunge. I believe in yin, oftentimes this pose is called swan. So when you're ready, step your other foot forward. Back knee is down. Make sure the back knee has plenty of cushion. And then we'll start to ease our way into this pose. Take a slow inhale, spread through the ribs. As you exhale, press, stand firm through the front leg, push foot into earth. Gently start to kick the shin and the top of the back foot into the earth. Keep breathing while you're here. It might feel good to really let the top of the skull hang towards the earth. Let the weight of your head gently pull and traction on the neck. Press through the hands a little bit while you're here. Just a reminder that you don't have to sink all the way to your end range of flexibility. You might think of doing this at about 70%, no more. And if you're really hyper flexible, hypermobile, they call it in anatomy terms, you might consider doing this only about 40-50% of your flexibility and really focus on pushing into the ground with your legs and feet. And just scanning through the body, noticing if there's anything anywhere that just need to adjust a little bit, make this a little more comfortable or just a little more tolerable even. And if you're also feeling like it might be time to explore going in a little deeper, know that you can bend your elbows, start to bow the torso, maybe even bringing the forearms to some props or to the floor. Notice, sense, and feel any sensations that are coursing through the body right now, and then ride this next breath wave, just feeling through whatever's happening. Slow breath in through the nose. Sigh it out through your mouth. And when you're ready, gently start to rise, torso up. If the torso is lowering down, shift the hips back. Gently step your front foot back, come back to tabletop. Do any kind of movement that feels good to you. Shake out your bum. Let it wiggle side to side. You can make circles. So our final pose before Shavasana, we'll just play with one more forward fold, supported child's pose. Supported child's pose. So a couple ideas. One way to do supported child's pose is to take your stack of bolsters, couch cushions, blankets, whatever you have on hand, and you're putting that stack out in front of you, sitting back on your heels, letting the big toes touch, your knees open up wide, maybe almost as wide as the yoga mat. And you'll feel for inhaling, lengthening through the core, lengthening through the spine, and then as you're exhaling, lowering the torso down, forward folding to your props. So the torso, the ribs, the chest are being supported by your props. We also want the head supported. And that could be done again. Maybe you want to fold your forearms across the top of your pile and let your forehead rest into the arms. You could also kind of hug your props and let one head, let your one head turn either left or right. Let the cheek, the side of the face rest down. Another idea is if you don't have those things, like you're working very minimally, but if you do have a blanket, you might take your blanket, roll it or fold it, and then place that between your heels and your butt as you sit back. And then lower the torso down into your child's pose. So your hips are being propped by the blanket, and your torso is just coming right down towards the earth. No props underneath the torso. So it's a different variation today. So let yourself take a few moments here. Take your time. Find out which version of this feels the best to you. And again, if you have glasses on, you don't need your glasses right now. You can take them off. And once you found your pose, your version of child's pose, let yourself sink into the earth. And you can allow your body to breathe for you. Really get very relaxed here. You don't have to do anything but simply be here. If it's been feeling really good to massage the back of the body with your breath, you can take those deeper ujjayi breaths while you're here. Or just deeper breaths, no sound. Notice, sense, and feel what is here with you right now. Is there a feeling or a sensation or a thought? Just opening up to acknowledging what's here and practicing welcoming it, allowing it to be here, whatever it is.
Give yourself permission to have whatever experience you're having right now. And when you're ready, take a slow breath in through the nose. Bring a little more air into the body. Fill up with breath. Exhale to sigh out through the mouth. And using hands and arms very slowly, very gently, ease your torso and then your head all the way back upright. Move props off to the side and make your way down to lying on your back for Shavasana. You can use any of your props for Shavasana, maybe a bit of blanket underneath the back of the head, like just an inch or two of pillow, bolster or blanket underneath your knees. Maybe it would feel good to let your legs be supported in Baddha Konasana blocks or pillows underneath each thigh so that your inner hips can feel supported while they open in that shape. Here in this final pose, allowing your body to breathe for you. Feeling the support of the earth. Let the earth hold you. Notice, sense, and feel what is ready to relax deeper into the earth.
As you continue to rest in Shavasana, I'd like to share a poem with you from Beyond the Leaving by my anatomy teacher, Gil Headley. Your Body Is by Gil Headley. Your body is a holy book, a scripture. The pages of your flesh are marked in exquisite detail with the finest hand, inscribed by spirit with the poetry of love, lessons of mercy, miracles, angelic hosts, and the story of your life perfectly told, an illuminated manuscript of sacred writing, epic in scope, majesty, and grace. Every hair on your head and line on your face, every rushing tide of wind and wave moving you from within, this living testament, bear witness to the truth layered within you. Study this text with conviction then. Reflect with care upon its meaning and enjoy the divine inspiration. Feeling now the wave of your breath, its rise and fall, its rhythm and pace and depth in this moment. And then let your breath help you to start to sense and feel your whole body. Feel your whole entire body soft and relaxed and held by the earth. And you are welcome to stay here lying upon the earth. Continue to rest. Or if you feel ready to start to move, gently and slowly begin now to make your way back up to a comfortable seated position, taking your time. And then resting on the ground or comfortably seated, bring one hand to your belly and lay the other hand over your heart. And one more time, just like you've come home from a very long, arduous journey, take a deep inhale in through your nose, fill up with breath. Sigh out through your mouth. Thank you all so much for sharing your practice with me today. Until next time, be well, everyone.